老师向警方报案，15岁男生的屁股在流血，怀疑是遭到了强暴。然而当警察赶到医务室后，男孩永强却称只是摔了一跤，根本不承认被强奸了。而他的哥哥也说弟弟没事，直到母亲赶到后，才赞同带永强去协和医院检查。结果果然没错。
The exam indicated anal penetration, most likely not by an object.
He was raped.
No semen, but bleeding, tearing, bruising, occurring within the last 48 hours, consistent with assault or rough sex.
Only 15, so it's not consensual.
然而永强却什么也不想说，家人也倾向相信他是摔的。即使警察把检查结果挑明了，永强还是不说。不过在不断的逼问下，他竟意外脱口而出：“这事他就是必须发生。”可等警察在问什么意思时，永强又不回答了，并且就在这时，父亲也赶到了，永强也就顺势跟着回家去了。而事后警察做了详细调查，发现永强在学校既没被霸凌的记录，老师们也没有任何不良行为，所以学校的人可以排除嫌疑。至于他的家庭，父母感情和睦，邻居评价也不错。而哥哥虽然有过打架斗殴，但人们都说他们兄弟俩很亲，所以现在来看谁也没有嫌疑。一时搞得警方都不知该往哪查了。不过这时警探突然想起，在医院时永强曾提起，他说这都是必须发生的，而这不由得让人以为他只是想体验一下性爱。虽然有人认为这很有道理，但本森仍是只是按照强奸案来查，随后就把永强的女友传唤了过来。不料女孩正生他的气呢。
Why?
But we were supposed to study last night, but he called me. He sounded drunk. I think he was at some bar.
What did he say?
He was laughing or crying, I couldn't tell. He said I became a man tonight, whatever that means.
而凭借多年办案的经验，警察瞬间明白是什么意思了。随后便来到了酒吧，拿着永强的照片，让老板回忆所有关于他的细节。结果老板称永强是和一个男人在一起，那人像是他父亲。可当警察拿出父亲照片后，老板却说不是这人。接着在警察的要求下，他提供了对方的付款记录，而据此警察很快就查到，那人是一名金融大佬，所以他成为了首要嫌疑人。可当警察刚提到永强，男人就主动发誓不知道他才15岁，这不就是不打自招了吗？然而接下来的审问却又出乎意料，男人只承认仅是安慰了永强，因为他哭得厉害。
Well, what was he crying about? How he didn't want to go home. I thought he was afraid he'd get busted by his parents for being drunk.
But
He seemed more worried about his brother.
难道施暴者是哥哥？
He was hysterical, rambling. Something about a rabbit.
a rabbit.
而这让本森突然想起，事发前一家3口刚打过猎，所以这事可能与狩猎有关。
He didn't want to shoot it.
The rabbit.
What else did he say about it?
其余的就没了，这就是全部了。因此这么看来，哥哥的嫌疑就很大了。于是为了弄清真相，警察单独来找了哥哥，想知道打猎期间发生了什么事。不料哥哥竟表示啥事也没有。而当警察继续追问时，他竟扭头就走。警察当然不能就这样让哥哥离开，于是直接就把话挑明了。
Come on, man. His injuries, the bleeding. That didn't happen from a fall. And that wasn't sex gone wrong. Your brother was raped. You know what that means?
My brother's not gay.
Are you?
What are you saying, that I raped my own little brother?
Did you?
You people are sick. I did not know.
What about the rabbit?
How'd you know about that?
Your brother didn't want to shoot.
眼见距离真相越来越近，哥哥担心言多必失，就急忙找借口溜了。但警察也看出他肯定之情，哪知不久后学校就传来消息，哥哥想要揍永强。而既然警察到场了，当然不能让这事发生了。却不料哥哥竟趁机想逃走，当然也是不可能的。就这样他被逮捕了。然而母亲却深信两兄弟相亲相爱，这只是正常的打闹而已。但警察已看出，哥哥要么是想杀人，要么就是想让永强晋升。哪知就在这时，父亲广坤及时赶到了，竟主动说出了来龙去脉。
My son came out to me this morning.
What?
He's gay. We met a young man on the trip. One thing led to another. But we talked it out, me and Sam. I'm good, he's good. We're just gonna keep talking. Maybe go to counseling as a family, right, Sam?
可警察立即反驳：“你身上有瘀伤，还流血了，怎么看都像是。”结果话还没说完，广坤就抢答是因为喝醉了。
Yeah, I was drunk and things got a little rough, but I wasn't hurt or anything.
Who was this guy?
I didn't get a name.
What did he look like? How old was he? Where did this happen? Exactly.
却不料又是父亲拦住了，接着就要带人回家。对此警察也没有理由阻拦，只能任由一家人离开。但任谁听都知道刚才是鬼话。事后警察分析是父亲在包庇大儿子，所以必须调查清楚。然后他们就把目标锁定了母亲，对他做起了思想工作。而本森则以母亲的身份和他共情，希望他为儿子挺身而出。最终母亲终于忍受不了内心的煎熬，说出了自己所见所闻。
That night, I heard sounds from Sam's room. I was listening at the door. I could hear Sam. He was whimpering like an animal. It broke my heart. I called Sam's name, but there was no answer, so I opened the door. And Sam, he was just on the bed, and he was standing there zipping his pants.
Ryan was.
My husband! John just walked out like nothing happened. I asked Sam if he was okay, and he just yelled at me, just leave me alone, go! Later, in bed, John said, don't say a word, not a word. Sam's fine. The next day, the boys went to school. John left for work like everything was fine. I searched Sam's room. I found underwear in his closet. It was wet. There was blood.
Where are those underwear?
不料母亲已经醒了，这下可真糟了，关键证据就这么没了。现在母亲很是痛恨自己不敢发声，哪知就在这时，广坤带着儿子们恰好回家了，于是警察顺势就将他逮捕了。结果看得永强是一脸懵逼，然而广坤却坚决不承认，指责警察把妻子洗脑了，甚至怒斥侵犯永强，这是简直是变态，我可干不出来，并且还要和检方对抗到底。见状，警察直接拿出了那条内裤，反怼上面已经检出你的 DNA 了。而眼见事情已经闹僵，律师当即准备应诉了。同时，广坤也坚信永强是不会指证自己的，因此接下来就要打一场硬仗了。首先，法医作证，内裤上存在2种 DNA， 从血液中提取的是永强的，而从体液中获得的是广坤的，证明广坤有罪。可哪知律师却反驳，内裤在送检前已经洗过了。不过法医却表示，在正常情况下，洗衣机无法摧毁已存在的 DNA。哪知律师微微一笑，又质疑洗衣机里还有其他衣物，洗衣时广坤的 DNA 会转移到永强的内裤上。对此，法医确定确有可能，这样 DNA 证据就站不住脚了。见状，检察官又赶紧传唤母亲作证，但却遭到了律师反对。为此，俩人还单独在法官面前吵了一架。律师反对的理由就是配偶特权，而鉴于受害人不出庭，法官也只能支持律师，禁止了母亲出庭指证广坤。这对于检察官来说无疑是灾难性的。然而就在他晚上借酒消愁，警探特意来开导他之际，检察官竟突然灵光一闪，想到了一个好办法。等2次开庭后，他仍是要传唤母亲，当然律师照样反对。不料这次检察官是要起诉母亲同谋，因为他蓄意破坏证据并误导警方，而这就不受配偶特权约束了。并且法官也看穿了检察官的小伎俩，但这是合法的，他也就同意了。这下律师一下无话可说了。随后当着陪审团的面，母亲为了给自己辩护，详细描述了看到的一切。检察官本以为这下胜券在握了，不成想律师直接污蔑这是在撒谎。母亲当即否认，于是律师就问他跟护士说过没，跟校长说过没，跟警察说过没，结果都没有。接着又问你跟警察说过强奸的事吗？这个当然也是没有。据此，律师得出结论
In fact, you never told the police that John raped Sam, right?
I just told them what I saw.
So you don't know what actually happened in that room. Thank you.
这下检察官又处于劣势了，而母亲既然被指控了，那永强也不得不出庭了。他则也否定了母亲的证词，声称当时只是在跟父亲聊天。接着律师问他有没有被强奸，结果永强一口否定了。但还有个问题需要解释，那就是身上的伤是怎么来的。对此，永强羞涩地回答
I met a man, and it was the first time. I wanted him to, you know, it wasn't rape or anything like that.
就这样，被告方得到了想要的答案。但当检察官问那个男人叫什么时，永强却不记得了。对此，检察官当然不信。可就在他继续纠缠时，却被法官叫停了。于是检察官只好从那次狩猎入手，通过与永强的对打，他确定打猎就是家族的成人礼，达成后才是一个真正的男人。接着直言你却懦弱的不忍杀死一只兔子，因此你害怕了，害怕你的父亲。
I just wanted to be
A man who gets scared is hardly a man, isn't that right? A man who gets scared, a boy who gets scared. He's a fraud. He needs to be punished, to be humiliated. And that's why your father raped you, right?
No! No! My father would never do... My father would never... He would never.
最终永强没有被蛊惑，坚持了自己的观点，而庭审至此也接近尾声了，剩下的就要看陪审团怎么判了。很快陪审团做出了裁决，他们最终判定广坤无罪。对于这个结果，永强心里却是五味杂陈，不知是不是有些失望。可这个结局都是他自找的，别人无法再帮什么了。随后永强又投入到了父亲的怀抱，希望他以后好自为之吧。